Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. I'm going to start today's video by working on my Bougainvillea bonsai. I last worked on this bonsai in December, early December, so it's been a couple of months and it needs pruning. I'll start by rotating the tree around so you can see what it looks like from all angles. So here's the front and around to the right side and the back. To the left side and back to the front. In the last video, I did quite a bit of hard pruning on the tree, and now it's all growing in again and needs pruning. It was a sunny day today, and the plant room is really warm in here. It's 33.2 degrees Celsius and 39% humidity, so nice and tropical in here. And the bougainvilleas really love that kind of tropical temperatures because they're native to Brazil. I was thinking about defoliating the tree to work on it, but I don't know if I'll need to because all the new shoots, you can see how they just kind of skyrocket out from the tree. So I can tell what's new, all the new growth. And I think I can just prune it with the leaves on. So I'm going to try it like that. And if it becomes a problem, if I can't see it properly, maybe I'll take the leaves off. But I don't think I'll have to do that. I'll start with the tallest shoots first, and that's these ones out this side. So I'll come in, and I'm using directional pruning. I'm finding leaves that are facing outwards from the center of the tree. So if I had to prune it right here, I've got this outward facing leaf, and I've got two more behind it that are also fanning out from the center of the tree. So I may get some nice shoots coming in on that branch. The next one I'll prune is this one that's shooting straight upwards. And I don't really want that upward growth on this tree. I have this more horizontal branch here. I did a fairly hard prune on this, this branch coming up from the trunk. And then I got sub-branching. I got this nice branch coming out the bottom, and I got this one up the top. So I don't think I want that one up the top. I'll prune it off short for now, right to here. And then I'll decide later if I want to keep, the small part of the branch sticking up. So I'll rotate it around now. I've got another branch coming up here. So again, I think I did a fairly hard prune on this branch. And I've got some leaves fanning outwards here, so I'll prune it here, like that. And there's another one shooting up vertically from here, and this is also where I pruned that last branch off. I got one that's more horizontal and another one that shoots straight up. So I may not want to keep that one at all that shoots straight up, but I will for now. And then I can decide later on if I want to keep it. I've got one coming out the front here. I'm just looking for the best. I'll prune it here. I've got a nice leaf that fans out here. A couple more down below. I'll just clean up some of these leaves. Get rid of that one. Let's get a little more light down there. I'll get rid of this leaf that's sticking straight up. That gets lots of light to this branch. I'll take this one off. So now there's lots of light hitting the top of that branch, so more branching can develop coming off of that branch. I finished pruning up all those vigorous shoots on the tree, so kind of restoring the kind of rounded profile to it. And now you can see there's a lot of foliage. You can't really see any of the branches. So my next step is to come in and start thinning these branches. So getting rid of all the leaves that are kind of the older leaves on the branch. So one's sticking up and some of these great big old leaves. So I just want to leave some foliage at the tip of the branch. I don't want it going all the way back. So that should allow more light to get into the inner structure of the tree. And it'll also let you see that structure on the tree. I'm going to start up top, and I'll be looking at each branch one at a time and deciding. There's a lot of leaves crossing over in front of each other, so I'm going to try and clean out some of these leaves again so you can see the structure and to allow more light to get into the canopy. So any leaves that are kind of not flowing outwards, just like the branches, you want them flowing outwards. I don't want leaves that are pointing in towards the center of the tree. They just kind of clutter up the design. I want some space for the light to get into these branches. So I guess you would call this a partial defoliation, which is nice to do because the tree remains vigorous and it actually, helps the tree grow because of all this light that'll get into the branches. I'm going to keep all the leaves that I prune off in a pile so you can kind of see how much foliage was removed. Any leaves that are hanging down underneath the branches can be removed. They're not getting much light underneath the branch, so you might as well prune them off so it makes the branch lighter, and then more light can get to the branches underneath them. So it kind of cleans out the whole canopy. You can see on this side of the canopy how dense it is, that you can just see all the leaves on top, but you can't see any of the branch structure and you can't see the branches down below. And I'll rotate it around. I've done some thinning over on this side, and you can start to see in at the branch structure of the tree. So that's what you want, to let light into these lower branches. It's still thick up top. I haven't touched that branch, but when it's all done, hopefully you'll be able to look in from the top of the tree and see the soil down below, that you'll be able to see all the way down the tree. That's my goal. I'm working away, pruning away the leaves that are facing the wrong direction, older leaves, larger leaves, leaving, leaves at the tip of each branch, but cleaning them up. And you can see it's opened the tree up and reveals, the trunk and all the branch structure. And, the level of, the amount of leaves you leave on is up to you. If you're entering a show, I would recommend you at least partially defoliate it so you can see the structure of the tree. If you just have like a ball of foliage, it doesn't really make the tree very interesting. It may look good from the distance, but there's nothing to kind of come up close and examine. So to see all the nice branch structure and the trunk and everything, you need to have the tree open like this so you can see, the basic structure of the tree and all the interesting features. When the tree's opened up like this, you can see there's a lot of little shoots developing on the inside of the branches here. So for them to fully develop, you need them to get light. So this will help develop any of these branches that were kind of hidden beneath the canopy. I finished thinning out the foliage on the top of the tree, and I hope it looks more tree-like to you, that you can, see all the branches, and even though it's sparser in the canopy, you can see all that tree-like structure, so it's more convincing as a miniature tree. The next step, I want to go in and refine the branch structure. Remember that shoot I said was sticking straight up on the branch here? Well, there's a difference between lots of ramification and good ramification. And I see a lot of trees at the bonsai shows all over the world, and they have all this ramification. It's fantastic. It's just every space in the tree is filled in with these fine branches, and yet the tree doesn't flow, and there's no space between the branches. It's too much. Too much of anything doesn't look good, and you can have too much ramification. It's nice to have your ramification in spots. So, if you've got this beautiful flowing ramification on one branch, but it's not overdone. It shows, you want your trunk as the primary structure of the tree, and then your secondary branches, and then your tertiary branches, and off of that, more fine branching. And it's got to be controlled. It just doesn't look good when you have too much ramification filling in every negative space on the tree. it doesn't look realistic. You don't see trees in nature like that. You know, the fluffy flower on a dandelion where it's all just filled in and it doesn't look tree-like. I hope that makes sense, but selective ramification is good, but too much looks artificial. Now I'm going to examine each branch and look for the flow lines of the branch. So, you know, this branch here comes up, flows nicely, divides into two here, comes up, and then I've got that branch. It divides from 1 to 2, but this isn't good coming straight up like that, so I'm going to remove that part like that. So this is a case where I'm removing ramification, but I'm increasing the beauty of the tree. It's flowing better. There's a dead stump I'm just going to remove here. So now the branch flows beautifully, and I'll get more ramification out of the tip here. So this branch is coming up nicely. There's a branch on the inside here growing straight up that I'll remove also. Again, ramification that increases the ramification on the tree, but it doesn't increase the beauty of the tree. Some little branches I'll remove there. And the rest is flowing quite nicely. I'm going to shorten this one to there. These two inner branches are starting to interfere with each other. And I think I'm actually going to remove that whole inner branch. It'll become a future problem. So again, removing ramification, but increasing the beauty of this branch. I'll show you that branch from above now. All right, here it is. So here, you can see it has nice divisions on the branch. It's nice and flowing. It looks very natural. There's no clutter. All the branches have their own spot of sunlight. There's one at the back here that I'll have to address. It's kind of shooting straight up here, so I don't want it to get too tall. It's actually taller than the tip of the branch, so I'll cut that back so it's shorter. All right, I'll rotate the tree around and we'll look at that branch. Here it is here. And I do have a nice branch flowing out the back and another one down lower. So I can just take the whole tip off that branch like that. Again, decreasing ramification, but increasing the beauty of the branch, creating those natural flow lines that make a tree look really beautiful. There's a leaf, there's a branch trying to grow at the base here. I don't want that, so I'll remove that like that. I've got a branch here that comes out kind of towards the viewer a bit, and the end of it is kind of poking at the viewer. And I've got some good divisions, some branching there, so I can cut this branch back to here, redirecting the branch more over this way towards the right side, avoiding that eye poker branch. There's a branch trying to develop on the inside here. I don't want that, so I'll remove that like that. I've got a branch growing here. There's a small one I'm going to remove here. I don't want a little branch growing in there. And I've got a branch growing up here, and it's getting very tall. It's starting to interfere with the bottom of this branch. So that needs to be pruned off shorter, and I will take it right back to here. And I could even take it back further. But I think, just remove that one. I think that's okay, actually. I don't want that branch to get weak, because it is a weaker branch. So I think that'll do for that. I've got a branch here that's kind of sticking straight up. I'm going to get rid of that. Like that. I've got a branch out the back and one up here. So that should be good. I'm looking at this branch over here now. It's kind of curving up towards the light, and I think it's getting too tall. So I'm going to try and prune it back. I can certainly prune the top off there and maybe even go lower. I think I can to here, like that. And then this one, I've got a branch that comes off the bottom, which would redirect the branch more horizontal. So I can take the entire top off this branch here, and that'll redirect it in a better direction. So here I go. Just like that. So that takes that height out, and it gets this branch going in a better direction. I've got, it divides from 1 into 3 here, so I'll move this dead one on the inside here. It's either dead or dormant. I think it was dead. It's not ideal having one branch above the other here, but I'm sure something will develop off this branch in the future, so I can clean that up better. There's a branch going straight up on the inside here. Get rid of that. Some of these smaller branches, you don't know if they're dead or dormant, so I leave them on, and then you know, eventually if they are dead, they'll just break off or rot away. I find it's better to keep them for now. There's a branch here that's kind of sticking straight up, and there's a horizontal branch coming off, so I'll prune that back. And there's one sticking straight up here I can prune away. Just cleaning that branch structure up so it flows nicely. And I'm coming out the back. There's a shoot sticking straight up here. I'll just take the tip off and see what develops on that branch. There's a branch here. If you look from the front, one kind of branch goes up here, and there's one below. I think it would look better without that branch. They kind of crisscross each other. So I will remove that. Again, removing ramification to increase the beauty of the branch. Like that. So now I don't have those crisscrossing branches. I'll take the vertical tip off this branch. I've got a horizontal branch growing underneath, so that will improve the look of that branch in the future. There's a vertical part on it here, but I'm not going to remove that yet. I want to keep vigor in that branch. I don't want it getting too weak. I'm going to reduce the tip here a bit further. Now I'm going to check the overall height of this tree. Shohin bonsai is considered to be 6 to 8 inches tall from the lip of the pot. So let's see what this tree is. If I go from the lip of the pot, it's closer to 10 inches tall. So it would have to be 8 inches is about the maximum. So I would have to prune it down quite far. And it is getting kind of thin and elegant looking up top. It could do with some reduction. I need this upper structure to thicken up a bit, and so I can see in the future reducing it back to that, at least that 8 inches. So that would mean I'd have to take it off here, which isn't too bad. Should I do it? There's a shoot right there. That could be the new leader. I could reduce this branch back to here. It could be done. It could be reduced down to there. My intention with this tree, I just wanted to grow it slowly and kind of accurately. I didn't really care what size it ended up being in the end. And right now it's a little bigger than a shohin tree would be, but I don't want to, you know, ruin the tree by reducing it just to get it into the shohin category. You know, some of these are getting a little long and skinny, so they should be reduced back. Let me think about it. I've thought about it, and I've put my hand over top, and I don't think it would look good reduced. Not with these branches being as tall as they are. I would have to reduce everything. I would have to take these branches way back down to here to avoid them kind of arching up. Right now, the arching up looks fine because they're this height and the tree is this tall. But if I reduce the apex down, everything would kind of be the same height. And it would look more like kind of a banyan tree instead of a deciduous tree. Or instead of a typical deciduous tree that you would see on the street. So I'm going to leave it tall. I don't think reducing it right now would improve the quality of the tree. You know, I could reduce it a little bit, but for now, I'm going to keep the top vigorous and keep that height difference between these branches and the top apex. With that decision in mind now, I'll go around the tree and have a careful look at all the branch structure and correct anything that I think needs correcting. And then we'll come back and see what the result is. Here's a look at the tree now with the branch structure cleaned up, partially defoliated so you can see the structure of the tree, so all the branches can get light. I think it's looking better. The next thing I want to do is clean up the base of the tree. You can see the moss is getting really tall. It's starting to grow up the root base and the trunk. So let's get that cleaned up. I'll come in here with my curved scissors, prune away the moss. I better show you the amount of foliage that I pruned off before I get going too far with the moss, so I'll do that now. Here's the tree now, and you can see how much foliage is left on the tree. And remember, I said I wanted to come above, and I want to be able to look down from the top of the tree and see the ground below. And I think you can see all the branches and the soil down below. So over here on the table, this is the amount I took off. You can see it's quite a bit. You know, I would say there's more that I've removed than is still on the tree. Back to the moss pruning now. So I need to repot this tree eventually. You can see the trunk is kind of, instead of leaning towards the viewer, it's just slightly leaning backwards. And I think that's because the roots grew on one side and it's kind of pushed the tree over a bit. So when I repot it, I'll get it back in the right orientation. That should look pretty good. So I want to clear all this moss away from the lip of the pot here. And I'll go along this edge too. You can also see it needs repotting. It's starting to push the soil line above the lip of the pot. So, you know, the pot's filling with roots. See, I pruned the moss right away here, but you can still see the soil is mounded up now. So it definitely needs repotting. The pot's full of roots. So I'll do what I can today, pruning the moss, but I could never get my soil, you know, down level because it's just pushing up out of the pot. And when will I repot it is the question. I think in the summertime, when it's nice and warm outside, the conditions are good, maybe in the middle of a nice humid heat wave, I can repot it and then I'll put it in the greenhouse and keep it misted and looking, you know, taking good aftercare of it. And it should recover really quickly from the repotting. Now, I'm going to have to get out the brush and the tweezers and get this moss off from around the base of the tree. So I will try brushing it with a toothbrush first. That might get some of it off. Maybe not. I'll try picking it with the tweezers. That's working well. I think I'll take a combination of the two tweezers and the brush. This Bougainvillea, Pink Pixie Bougainvillea, is getting quite old. This was, I got this like maybe a year or two after I got into bonsai. So it's probably over 20 years old. Not much over, but probably 21, 22 years old. Somewhere around there. It might even be 23, I don't know. But it's one of my earlier bonsais that's survived all these years. So I haven't had any flowers on this for quite a while, so I'm hoping it flowers over the summer. It's had a good prune today, so you know, when these branches start regaining strength and foliage, energy into the tree, it should say, hey, I've got enough energy and strength, I can flower now. So it'll probably do that sometime this summer. You can see the root base is getting all kinds of character on it now, which is really nice. It's getting some nice thick mature roots at the surface. And they start out as little fine roots and they've slowly thickened up over the years. And it's nice to see that progression. You know, all your hard work getting that nice radial root base when the tree's young, and then just watching it mature over the years is one of the joys of growing bonsai, is seeing, you know, your work getting slowly better each year and maturing. And I'll finish the root pruning with a little dry brushing to the roots just to get the rest of the moss off and any algae buildup. So somehow, as I've been working on this tree, it got dark outside. Time flies when you're having fun. So I'll give you a 360-degree view of the tree now. So there's the front. We'll rotate around to the right-hand side. To the back now. There's the back. To the left-hand side. And then back to the front. So that's the tree pruned up for today. You can see the top of it here. Hopefully it looks like a deciduous tree to you. It's kind of the view from down below looking up. Yeah, so it's getting there. It's certainly getting lots of character, and we'll keep working on it, that's for sure. It's time now for today's update. In my last update of my bougainvillea, my update was the pomelo seedlings, so let's keep that theme going, and I'll get out the pomelos now. Here's a look at the pomelo seedlings today. They came all the way from Singapore, the seeds, and they're doing really well. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.